All right, everybody, time to implement that apocalypse system, the system that makes enemies do crazy amounts of damage if they're lucky with their rolls, which is weighted in their favor. The initiation point for the apocalypse system is the place where damage is being calculated. That is the place where we have a register or something holding the amount of damage that's going to be applied to the character's health before it's applied to the health. So to find that, let's first see what writes to our character's health. Here we got the health mapped out right here. I'm just gonna find out what writes to this address. No results yet. Let's get smacked by something and see what we see. Okay, we got smacked. Let's see what we got here. All right, we got one count for an update. That's good. We only got smacked one time. Let's see what this code looks like here. So if we look at the code right here, XMM0 contains our updated health, and it's gonna write it to our health right here. So we need to figure out where XMM0 is calculated. And we're basically just gonna be looking for a simple subtraction or addition operations / instructions. I don't see anything right here. To find the damage calculation place, we might have to do a big old trace by going way up the stack, doing a big trace, looking through all those instructions. Hopefully we don't have to go too far up the stack though until we find it. If we're lucky, if we're really lucky, it'll be right up here, which I don't see anything, but if we're also lucky, it'll be just one function call up. So let's just put a breakpoint right here, and I'm gonna get smacked again, and then we're gonna go one function call up, see where it's coming from, and then see if there's any kind of operations going on there. Let's get smacked again. Smack me, please. Okay, I think I got smacked right there. All right, so we're back here again. I'm gonna go to my stack, or call stack down here. Go to the next function up the stack. And hey, we're seeing some arithmetic operations here. After looking at a bunch of different functions from that return point, eventually, I think about 100 or so instructions up, we found this instruction right here is doing a subtraction between XMM5 and 2 and storing it in XMM4. Discovered that XMM5 contains the current health of the creature, which is one of the parameters for the apocalypse system, and XMM2 contains the damage being done. Just to show you, we'll put a breakpoint there, get smacked again. All right, here we are. We just got smacked. XMM5 contains my current health, 70, and 2 is the damage that's being done, 75, so this is gonna kill me. So let's just make sure that this is the place where damage is being calculated, and this is indeed our damage. So instead of killing me, let's have it just do 5 damage. So if I don't die here, then that means this is indeed the initiation point where we want to put it in. And we're not dead. So, looks like where we want to hook it in. So we're gonna do a full injection right here. So this contains a jump statement in the original code. I don't like jump statements in original code sections. Especially for newly released games, since there will be patches. This will absolutely break after the next patch. Addresses where code is absolutely changes. So we're gonna just go one instruction up and create an injection point for there. And I'm gonna address it up, and then we're gonna work with the code and fill it in and call the apocalypse system. All right, hey everybody, here is the starting hook into our code for initiating the apocalypse system. We were just looking at this not too long ago. The place that we're hooking into is actually one instruction above the calculation instruction itself. And we did that, remember, because we didn't want to have the jump statement inside our original code here, because it's going to more easily break when the version updates, which it will, since this game has been released somewhat buggy. And we documented here that XMM5 register, as it is, contains the target's current health prior to the calculation occurring. XMM2 contains the damage that's being done to the target, and RBX contains the address to the target's destructibility struct, which contains values such as health in this game. And therefore, we're gonna wanna get our player's own health or destructibility struct loaded up here so compare it to RBX, and that's how we're gonna tell whether or not it's the player who's being damaged. So the first thing we wanna do here is let's make sure we back up the conditional flag, since we're gonna be doing lots of comparisons, or at least a few. And the return values are stored in the REX and RBX registers for the apocalypse system. So those are gonna get overwritten, and they're not used down here in the original code, so we're gonna wanna make sure we restore them. The actual output of the apocalypse system functions are gonna be stored in the XMM2 register for the updated damage being done, and XMM5 for the updated current health to use in the calculation. So that's what we're gonna update at the end of all this. We're going to need to have another SSE register backed up here in order to store the maximum health and also just use it for any calculation purposes. Let's use XMM1. We're going to make room on the stack for 16 bytes. And we're going to store on the stack the current value of XMM1. And then down here, we'll just we'll restore what we have. And restore the stack. All right, so then let's load the player's health or player's own destructibility struct. And let's back up the RCX register to hold that. And we're going to move to RCX, the player health address of the pointer. We're going to dereference that, store it in RAX. All right, so since we have it loaded here, let's move into XMM1, the player's maximum health, which is one of the parameters for the player apocalypse. The maximum health is stored at an offset of 68. Remember, the current health is stored at an offset of 64. So usually it is just the next 4 bytes over then from there, and that's what that is right here. And then let's do a comparison between RBX, which contains the target destructibility struct of the damage, and then REX, which contains our player's own destructibility struct. Restore the RCX value there, and then if RBX and REX are not equal, then we know it's a enemy being damaged here, so we're going to want to jump then to initiating the enemy apocalypse. Otherwise, we're going to initiate the player apocalypse, which is the apocalypse module again that goes off if it's the player being damaged. If you don't know too much about my apocalypse system and how it works, check out that general overview video that's linked in the description below. So here we're going to need 4 parameters. We're going to need the player coordinates aligned at the X coordinate. We're going to need the player's health, player's max health, and then the damage being done. Not in that order though. Let's move into RAX address of the player's coordinates. And then we're going to dereference that and store it in RBX. And we want to have that aligned to the X coordinate. So the X coordinate for the player is stored at the player coordinates address plus 70. So we're just going to do a load effective address here, RAX, RBX plus 70. And now REX will basically point to where RBX plus 70 pointed to. So let's start passing parameters here. So make room on a stack for 8 bytes. We're going to move a double word here onto the stack for XMM2. So we're going to be passing the damage being done first. That's what's stored in XMM2. Make room for 8 more bytes. And we're going to move another double word, XMM5, which contains the current health of the target or creature that's being damaged. In this case, the player. Make room for 8 more bytes. We're going to move on to the stack, the player's maximum health, which we put in XMM1. And then the last parameter is the coordinates aligned with the X coordinate. So we're going to just push an RAX right here. And those are all the parameters. We're going to call then execute player apocalypse, which is my game neutral function that does the player apocalypse stuff. And we're going to then jump to an exit label here where we're going to be doing the cleanup code. Otherwise, we initiate the enemy apocalypse. All right, the enemy apocalypse is a lot easier than the player apocalypse. We just need to pass 2 parameters. The first one, which we're going to make room for 8 bytes in the stack for, is the damage being done. So that's XMM2. Push that to the stack, and then make room for 8 more bytes. The next one is the current health of the creature being damaged, which is stored in XMM5. And then we're going to call the enemy apocalypse, another game neutral function. And I have these game neutral functions automatically included in my code here through the use of a little scheme I have to automatically include sort of external code, which I'll have another video for linked down below, teaching you how to do that. It's a nice way to organize your code. Then after that's all said and done, we want to exit here and we want to process the return parameters. So remember, EAX will contain the updated damage due to the player or enemy based on the output of the apocalypse function. And we want to just basically move that over to the XMM2 register, which is where the damage being done is supposed to be held. And they're both in floating points, so this will work just fine just by doing a movement of a double word from EAX to XMM2. And then we need to take EBX, which contains the updated current health of the creature, and store that in XMM5. So just do another move double word to XMM5 from EBX. And then we just restore the stack. All those values that we backed up. And then that's it. That is all the code we need for initiating the apocalypse system in the game Horizon Zero Dawn. Now for the display portion of the code, remember, the Apocalypse system will display a log of what's happening, and also there will be an update of enemy stats, player stats, in the stats window. All that code can be found in the Omnified display Lua library. And so in order to enable that, we just need to make sure the Omnified display Lua library is in our folder, which it is. And then we just need to have a function here to enable the display. And we just need to require that Omnified display.lua file. And the function in there is just called activate loggers. And this will create the timer that will do all the display logic stuff. I'll make a video on how all this works, what the contents of this file are. However, it's been basically inside the same file as my main game hooks for previous games. And you can always check that out on my Discord server. Then down here, we just want to make sure we call that when we get it enabled. So we'll just do a Lua call, enable display. And we also need to make sure that we're registering my game neutral code here in the omnified.lua library. And we'll do a Lua call, register. Again, I'm gonna have another video that talks about how I organize code like this. Okay, then we wanna make sure in the cleanup code then that we also unregister the Omnified code here. We don't need to unregister the display logic code, just the way it works. I don't know if it's good or bad, but you don't need to do it. Continues ticking even when all is said and done and disabled. All right, so that's all the code though for the Apocalypse system. Let's see if it works. We're gonna do a demonstration here, and we're gonna see what happens when I get hit. We're gonna see if all the various status effects happen, teleportitis, 69 times damage, etc. And then we're gonna see if the enemy Apocalypse system works, which is mainly done by just seeing if player damage to enemies is being tallied and kept track of, and if something like crits work and stuff like that. All right, guys, we're gonna see if the Apocalypse system is working with Horizon Zero Dawn. You can pay attention to the Apocalypse log up top there as I get hit, and with the enemy Apocalypse, we'll know it's working if it tallies up my damage in the upper right-hand corner. And I think so far it is accurate. I just did 15 damage. You can see that 15 damage is correctly tallied up there, and we just got hit. We just received double damage, 150 damage instead of the normal, what would it be, 75? Hey, the Apocalypse system seems to be working just great. Also with the Apocalypse system in here, there's several sound effects added when I get 69. I want to see a 69 happen, and I also want to see if teleportitis works before we call this completely working. And we're dead. I thought it was a teleportitis at first, but I guess we're just dead behind a boulder. Well, it looks like everything is working here. I do want to see 169 and 1 teleportitis though. There was an orgasm. The orgasm works, great. We were fully healed, and there's a teleportitis. And that causes some interesting things to happen. What the hell? That's amazing. Looks like the Apocalypse system is a success though. So next we're gonna be doing the Predator system. And I'm looking forward to it. Then we'll be 2/3 of the way to getting this game certified Omnified. We can start playing it. I really look forward to it.